Your prospects are ghosting you after the demo because you showed them the solution before they understood the problem. When I tried booking my late husband's cardiology appointment while he was recovering from surgery, I spent 40 minutes on hold,
All lines are busy. Please hold.
got transferred 3 times, and never actually scheduled the appointment. That's the experience your buyer's patients are having too. But if your first touch point is a product demo, you're asking there to care about features when they're still drowning in the problem. What if I told you that there's a specific content strategy that educates buyers before they ever even see your platform? And it will make the difference between, let me think about it, and actually signing the contract. Hey, I'm Doree, and I'm a health tech content strategist and consultant. In this video, we're going to talk about what pre-sales content actually is, why it's critical for enterprise health tech sales cycles, and I'll show you specific examples of content that builds trust and educates buyers before the demo and sales call. We'll cover the 3 types of pre-sales content that your sales team is missing, why email courses outperform traditional lead magnets, and exactly how to structure content that moves prospects from just browsing to ready to buy. Let's go. Let's start defining pre-sales content by talking about what it's not. It's not your product brochure. It is not a one-pager about your features. And it's definitely not that generic guide to patient engagement PDF that every health tech company has in their prospects downloads folder. Pre-sales content is educational material that helps your prospects deeply understand their problem and your unique approach to solving it before they ever see your platform, app, or talk to your sales team. When I was managing care for my late husband who had 10 different doctors, I didn't need another patient portal. What I needed was for someone to help me understand why coordinating care was so impossible, what systemic gaps existed, and what a better approach could look like. So why do companies skip this step? Founders and executives are usually former clinicians or healthcare operators who've lived the problem for years. So when you're building your sales content, you assume everyone else already understands the depth of the issue too, but not exactly. Your buyers and executives are stuck in their daily operation. They know something's broken, but they haven't had the chance to step back and analyze exactly why it's broken or what a systematic solution looks like. So when you lead with a demo, you're essentially showing them a solution to a problem they haven't fully processed yet. It's like showing someone how to use a complex medical device before explaining what condition it treats. The features don't land because the foundation isn't there. There are 3 types of pre-sales content that work together to move prospects from problem aware to solution aware before your sales team ever gets involved. First, you've got problem education. This is the content that frames the issue in a new way or reveals gaps that your prospects didn't realize were there. For patient engagement platforms, this might be content that shows the actual patient journey through your buyer's current system and identifies the 5 specific points where patients drop off. You want to use deep data-backed insights that make your buyer say, I never thought about it that way. Second, you've got approach education. Approach education content explains your unique methodology or framework for solving the problem. It explains the philosophy or strategy that your company uses as the solution. And then third, you've got transformation-proof content. These are case studies and customer stories that show the journey from problem to solution with specific metrics that matter to your buyers. Suppose you sell a patient engagement platform to specialty practices. Your problem education content might be an email series called The 5 Hidden Revenue Leaks in Your Patient Communication System. Each email will break down one specific leak, use data from your market research, and include a self-assessment so they can identify if it's happening in their practice. Your approach education content would explain your framework. Maybe it's something like the 3-touch rule for post-visit engagement, or why automated reminders fail without personalization. Now, you're not talking about your platform just yet. You're still educating them. You're establishing your thought leadership on your approach to solving this problem. Your transformation-proof content would be a deep dive case study showing how a similar practice went from 40% portal adoption to 78% adoption in 6 months. And you break down exactly what changed at each stage. By the time these 3 types of content have done their job, your prospect is coming into the demo already believing in your approach. The demo just shows them how your platform executes what they're already sold on. Let's talk about why email courses crush lead magnets for health tech's pre-sales content. When you offer a lead magnet like that generic PDF guide, someone downloads it, maybe they skim the first 2 pages, and then it sits in their downloads folder, and you have no idea if they actually consume the information. You use your one chance to get their email address, and then you're left sending them just generic nurture emails, hoping that they'll actually book a call. With an email course, you delivered education in bite-sized pieces over 5 to 7 days. Each email will focus on one specific concept, which means your prospect actually has the time to read and digest each thing you're teaching them without getting overwhelmed. Not only that, you're building a teaching relationship over multiple touch points, which establishes trust in a way that a generic PDF download never could. So how would you structure this pre-sales email series? I'll tell you about the framework that I use for my clients. Day 1 is problem reframing. You take the surface level problem that your prospect thinks they have and show them the deeper systemic issue that they haven't fully recognized. On day 2, you introduce your framework or methodology without mentioning your product yet. Day 3 dives into one aspect of implementation. This is where you start bridging from approach to execution. Day 4 addresses the biggest roadblock or objection. For health tech, this is usually something like provider resistance or integration concerns. Day 5 shares a transformation story with specific metrics. This is where you transition into the demo offer, but it's not a generic book a call CTA. It's positioned as, now that you understand the approach, let me show you exactly how our platform executes this framework. Now, the 5 days are over, your prospect has gone through every day. When it's time for them to attend the demo, they're already educated, they're already believing in your approach, and they're already seeing themselves as your next customer in a customer success story. The best part? Your close rate from those demos is going to be way higher than the demos you booked cold. All right, I'm just going to cut to the chase and give you the mistake. You create great educational content, but you position it wrong. You're treating pre-sales content like it's top of funnel, tofu lead generation, when it should be mid-funnel deal acceleration. Let me explain the difference. Most companies put their educational content, whether it's guides, webinars, email courses, whatever, on their homepage with the goal of capturing cold leads. That's fine for volume, I guess, but it doesn't move deals. You need to use pre-sales content to accelerate deals already in your pipeline. When a prospect fills out your demo request form, but your calendar is 2 weeks out, what do they get in the meantime? They get a confirmation email and then probably silence for 2 weeks. By the time the demo rolls around, their urgency has cooled off, and they've probably been pitched by 3 competitors or done research on 3 or more competitors, and their priorities have shifted. That's where you're losing deals. Instead, the moment someone requests a demo, they should automatically get added into your funnel and enrolled in that email course that I told you about on autopilot. Then over the next week, while they're waiting for that demo, they're being educated. Email number 1 should arrive within minutes of them signing up for the demo. It should say something like, while you're waiting for our call next Tuesday, I want to make sure you get the most out of our time together. Over the next 5 days, I'm going to share the biggest mistakes we see practices making with our patient engagement and our framework for fixing them. Each email will build on their understanding of the problem and your approach, so when the demo day arrives, you're not starting from zero. As I talked about in this video, this same strategy works when prospects go dark after an initial call. Instead of sending them things like just checking in, you want to send them a targeted email series that addresses their specific objection or use case. You're using your content to re-engage them when they go silent, not just for reminders. I instructed one of my clients to do this, to use content to re-engage, and guess what? They went back to the stalled deals and were able to reactivate 40% of their dead pipeline within 60 days. You can do the same by positioning pre-sales content as deal acceleration, not just lead gen. Pre-sales content helps you systematically educate your prospects on the problem they have and your approach before they ever see your platform. So when they do get to the demo, they're already halfway to a yes. Remember, we covered 3 types of pre-sales content that you need: problem education, approach education, and transformation proof. We talked about why email courses beat traditional lead magnets because they create a multi-touch teaching relationship instead of a one and done download. And we looked at how to use this content not just for cold lead gen, but as a strategic tool to accelerate the enterprise deals already sitting in your pipeline. I created a free resource called the 5-Day Sales Enablement Content Audit for Health Tech Startups. It walks you through exactly what content you have, what's missing, and where to focus your efforts. The link is in the description. If you want to understand what happens before pre-sales content, the foundational positioning and messaging that makes all this content work, check out the video I made previously here, or watch this one instead. See you there.